Hello, once again, Conversations with Veronica. This afternoon we have Mr. Richard Haggerty with us today, who happens at the moment to be the president of our city council, and he wants to be our state representative, filling in, if possible, the shoes of Mr. Dwyer when he retires. Now, I had him in here in the fall, and I asked him if he wanted to do anything else, and he said no. So my first question is, what made you change your mind?
Well, I hope my answer at the time was, I don't know. But I didn't know then that Jim wasn't going to run.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, I've always looked at public service as an opportunity to literally do that, which is serve the public. And for me to be able to have the opportunity to serve in another capacity, to move from the city council to the state house, is kind of a natural progression. And I think the experience that I have from the city council, being an actual legislator, taking that to Beacon Hill, will hopefully make the transition easy. So
you go from 40,000 people to how many thousand?
About the same, 40,000 to about 41,000. It's almost the same number of people. It's actually just taking a portion of Woburn away, which is the west side, and a portion of the south end. That area is represented by Jay Kaufman, and there's a legislative race going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
But our race is the 30th Middlesex District, which is wards 2 through 6 in Woburn and precincts 2 through 5 in Reading.
I didn't realize Reading was a part of it.
Yeah, big part.
Do you have an identity in Reading?
I do. I worked there for over 15 years, so I know a lot of the community, I know a lot of the families, all the elected officials, many folks at Town Hall. So I've got a really good footprint in that community.
That's good to know.
Yeah, it's a great place.
I thought you only hung out in Woburn.
No, once in a while they let you out. You know how it is, you know.
But it's good that you know the lay of the land.
Yeah.
The traffic, isn't that always number one?
Sure, big issue all the time.
And industry and all that kind of. So it's
a big advantage for me. It's a big advantage in this race. I think it's something that really separates me from some of the other candidates, because it puts me in a situation where some of the other candidates might not know both communities.
Well, I didn't realize, and how long have I been picking on Mr. Dwyer, that he represented Reading as well.
Yeah, a big portion of it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good enough. Okay, so we both know that the State House has a hierarchy of its own.
Sure.
Traditions that weigh more than the Liberty Bell. How do you think you're going to fare? Do you have an identity at the State House?
So I know a lot of people through my role in the city of Woburn at the State House, right? So I've been fortunate the last 8 years to be Alderman at Large and the last 5 to be City Council President. So I've dealt with state representatives and state senators from a variety of districts, from Senator Lewis down in Winchester to Senator, or I should say State Representative Day over in Stonehenge, State Representative Sean Garbley in Arlington, State Representative Jim Maselli in Wilmington, State Representative Brad Jones, who actually represents the second portion of Reading. So the state representatives and senators, obviously our own Senator Cindy Friedman, I have a really good relationship with most of those folks. And beyond that, I've been able to work with a lot of the executive branches of state government through my role with the city, whether it's Secretary Ash or other folks, to advance issues that are really important to our community. So my relationships from the city will carry over great to the State House.
You know your way around the building. That right there,
big advantage,
is a bonus. Have you ever been under the dome? I have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Pretty neat experience.
Way up on top, I mean under the rafters, kid. I used to go in with Youth and Government by the YMCA from Woburn High.
Yeah.
And that's a great program, and you should speak to the kids.
Absolutely. It is a great program.
Tickled to death to see a lot of the kids that were in those early programs have gone on to represent the communities that they live in.
Absolutely.
They step up and speak. They're active. They're polite advocates.
Yeah.
It's a good training ground. And while they were behaving themselves in the chamber, I would wander through the building and go in places where everybody doesn't get to go.
Exactly. Poke your way around, as they say. You know. That's funny.
The one thing that I really loved was Venerin at the time would turn on Channel 44. So that the parents of the children from the Berkshires
How awesome.
and Martha's Vineyard could also get to see their kids behaving, and our community at large I mean, how many people know that 250 kids take over the State House the first weekend in March every year?
No doubt about it.
And write their own rules and debate and play
Absolutely.
politics too.
Absolutely. You know, and we're fortunate. You know, we do some of that locally here too. Even, you know, Billy Campbell does some work with that, and Mayor Galvin, and we're going to do that in a couple of weeks, where we have kids from the high school actually come down to City Hall and you know, kind of role play a variety of different department heads and whatnot. So I get somebody to shadow me all day, which is pretty cool, so that they get an understanding of kind of what we're doing within city government.
And that stays with them forever, because we don't teach civics in school anymore.
I tend to agree, and which is really important. You know, you know, it's reminding folks the good work the government can do is critical, and it starts at a really young age.
And if you don't participate, you should not complain.
Yeah.
But they don't make it easy. You have to work at it, and it is very time consuming.
Yeah.
If you were to be elected as a representative, what would be your top most important issues?
So I would say, I mean, the biggest thing that you want to do when you're in there is represent the community, you know, and fight for local aid. Local aid is probably, in Woburn's case, about 10% or so of our budget. In Reading's case, it's even higher than that number. So local aid is critical to running any municipality. Beyond that, you know, working on education to make sure that we're properly funding our school district and our school department, making sure we're fighting for hopefully more college affordability, which I think is a really big issue. That's something that's a kitchen table issue that a lot of folks are having challenges with. We want to rebuild trust in our transportation system, right? Because, as you know, over the course of the last several years, there's been a lot of issues with the MBTA. But it's not unsolvable. We can, you know, if we come together, and there's some good proposals out there right now, even to really advocate for that. We want to talk about healthcare. We want to talk about the opioid crisis that's going on right now, which is a giant issue that's affecting our community, affecting Reading, affecting the Commonwealth generally. We want to work on hopefully driving down some healthcare costs, because that's a huge issue for businesses, municipalities.
I saw last night the Attorney General's office is running low on funds to provide NACON to our police departments.
Yeah, it's a major issue.
And there's a meeting in Burlington, I believe, this week that you can go, learn how to administer it, and leave with NACON in you.
Treatment, access, and prevention. I mean, those are the three kind of pillars of this issue right now. And I know from the local level that our fire department, our police department, you know, they are being taxed with this issue, let alone the families in our community who are battling with, you know, these addictions. And, you know, and it's not just, you know, young people or old people. This goes across all demographics. So we got to make sure that we have enough beds, and we got to make sure we have the type of treatment facilities in place that if people have a problem, that they have actual access to those types of things. We got to make sure we're talking with doctors to make sure that doctors aren't prescribing these types of things. We want to look at our prescription monitoring program, which is something that the state put in place back in 2015 in order to hopefully better monitor who's getting access to opioids. It's doing okay, but one of the things we want to see happen, in my opinion, is put some more teeth into it. We want to make sure that, you know, if a doctor's out there overprescribing these types of medications, we want to be able to hold them accountable. So the prescription monitoring program was a great step in the right direction, but we got to go a little bit further, I think. And the last pillar of it, I think, is making sure that our police department has the tools they need to go out there and fight these drug dealers, to make sure that we're stopping them from coming into our communities.
But on the other side, those drug dealers are trying as hard to destroy our police, to challenge them at every corner.
Absolutely.
And supply more and more. And I mean, I think it's getting to the point almost of out of balance. And the one thing that bothers me, I can remember when I learned CPR, the responsibility of helping someone. Yeah. You can learn, you can understand it, but the minute you see someone on the ground beside your car, do you remember 1,000, 1,000,
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it.
Scary, scary.
Yeah, and we're doing great work locally. Chief Ferrullo and the Woburn PD are doing really good work fighting this, and, you know, they're always on the front page of you know, pushing kind of the positive things they're doing out there, but I can tell you that behind the scenes, I know what type of work they're doing, and they're working really hard. We got community groups who are doing great work too, folks like, you know, Carmen Lucchese and others, you know, who lost his son to this disease. There's a lot of local families who have been impacted, and they've redirected their energy towards trying to solve this problem, and that's such a positive story to tell. So we want to work with them to try to continue to be an advocate in there to make sure that we're making the changes necessary to stop this issue. You know, this issue is really only 20 years old, folks. So we can combat it if we put the right tools in place and are aggressive enough to actually go after it.
God, please help us do that right.
Yeah.
If you feel very strongly about one particular issue, and myself and other people feel very strongly against it, how are you going to vote?
Well, I guess it depends on what the issue is. I mean, you want to lead, certainly, and you want to try to convince people why, you're right and why you're trying to advocate for a particular position.
But we're going to go toe to toe. I'm going to think I'm as right as you think you are.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but I mean, you got to represent your constituents. I mean, that's your responsibility. There's no doubt about it.
But could you, if it was against what you personally believed and you found 75% of your constituents wanted it thus, could you vote thus?
Well, I don't know. I've been elected for 8 or 9 years now, and I don't know that I've ever run into a situation where a giant majority of the folks disagree with the position I took. So I'm pretty confident that I have a pretty good ability to be able to read how people feel on an issue and be able to advocate for them while also staying true to my principles and my core.
So you're telling me you have common sense?
I hope so. I hope so.
Some people miss that class altogether. So when you get there, you realize if you get there, and I wish you well, you'll get an office in the basement?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Probably behind a dumpster somewhere or
lucky
wherever the
to
heck
get
it
a
is,
phone?
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully you get a phone.
But cell
that'll be
phones,
nice.
that's going to take a little bit out of that particular yank.
Way down on the rung of the ladder, if you will. But hey, that's okay. You go there to do the work, and if you do the right things and you work really hard, everything else in life comes. So for me, I have no problem starting at the bottom of the ladder.
Should it be that hard to do good?
No, and I don't think it is always that hard to do good. I think that if doing the right thing's a lot easier than what a lot of people think, and that's what I'm going to try to do.
But sometimes when you're out on that limb alone, it gets a little lonely.
Sure, no doubt about it. You start looking around, where'd all my friends go? But
and then you go, oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do what you do. Why not?
Yeah, that's the truth. You stand up for what you believe in. You stand up for what your constituents believe in. You represent your community, professionally with class, all those types of things. That's what I'm going to bring in there, and that's what I want to do. And I think that I want to be able to have people be proud of me being their representative. And I'm hoping that they've been proud the last 8 or 9 years.
Well, you keep on getting reelected. I think that says something.
I hope so.
And you don't run when I come into a room.
No,
so,
not a chance.
And many have run before you, believe me.
Always
and after you. But what will we do without you?
Yeah, well, the city.
Would we have to have a special election?
No. The city council would appoint a person to fill out my term. So hypothetically, if I was elected, which I really hope to be come September, in the Democratic primary, and then finally in November, I would finish out my term as city council president through the end of the year, and then at that time I would resign, and the city council would fill that position until the November 2019 election, at which time, and we have a ton of great people in our city who have always, run for office, who think about running for office. So we got a deep bench.
So do people say, "I'd like to take his seat," or do they just sit at home waiting for the phone to ring?
Well, you know how it is. There's always a few people who say,
"Oh, they never asked me." No, I don't. No.
There's always somebody who's. But for me, I would trust the city council to make the decision, and I'd trust the electorate to make the decision after that. And they've gotten it right most times.
What do you think about voting day, the day after Labor Day?
Yeah, kind of a tough day. But we have a responsibility as candidates to engage our voters and to get them to the polls and let folks know what we care about and our supporters. And we're going to do that aggressively over the course of the next 4 or so months. And I think we're going to be fine. I think the turnout's going to be consistent with what it's been during past primaries.
Good. So you're going to walk every neighborhood?
Absolutely. I'm going to be out there banging doors. I already am. So I'm already out there trying to make my case.
And social media?
Everything. For me, I'm not taking anything for granted. I mean, I love the work I do now, and I've been fortunate to be able to be elected a few times in the city. But for me, I never take an election for granted. I want to get out there and let folks know what I care about. And oftentimes you spend a lot more time listening than you do talking, which is just as important.
Some people don't know how to do that.
I do.
And the variables of life itself, weather.
All those things.
Tragedies.
Sure, things can happen.
It can tip either way, no matter how hard you work.
That's correct.
It's very, very, till that very moment that they say you're in.
Yeah, when I was a kid, my dad used to tell me, I was an athlete coming along, and he would say, you know, you put yourself in a position to win, which means you do the things necessary to win. And that's what I'm doing in this race. I'm doing the things necessary to win, and I'm feeling pretty good so far.
So how does your family feel about it?
Everybody's fired up and loves it. So, you know, my partner Haley, she's, you know, she studied this in college, so this is in her wheelhouse. She's excited, and she's, you know, behind me 100% and telling me where I'm, you know, what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, all those types of things.
I forget, did you study political science in college?
I did.
I thought so,
yeah. Up at the University of New Hampshire.
Was it what you learned as against reality?
So I guess, you know, I studied kind of foreign policy. That was kind of in my
Oh,
wheelhouse
good
at the
God,
time.
are you going to go for ambassador?
No, not a chance.
Did you want the
Not
White House?
Not a chance.
I'll
not
vote
a
for
chance.
that.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, you know, I was fortunate to study at UNH, and you know, we studied a bunch of different things. But certainly, foreign policy was kind of where my concentration was. But but beyond that, you learn that politics is a lot about relationships. You know, it's a lot of policy stuff. Obviously, that's where you got to love policy. You got to love getting into the weeds. But you also have to have an ability to get along with people and an ability to mold relationships. You can get what you want accomplished and try to bring people over to your side on the big issues that you're trying to advocate for. And that's where I think I've had some success the last 8 or 9 years in Woburn, and I'm hoping to have some success on Beacon Hill.
What kind of a bill would be important for you to submit?
I don't know if I'd say a specific bill out the gate, you know, but I would say that it's more about what you're bringing to the table from a how you approach, you know, what you believe in, if you will. You know, what are your core values? You know what I mean? To vote on anything, whether it's any of the big issues, whether it's transportation, education, whatever the item might be. You want to bring a set of core values so you know how to vote. I wouldn't say that there's going to be a bill that on day one I'm gonna file. That's not how I'd approach it. I would approach it that I'm bringing a set of values to the table to really be able to vote on all the important issues.
So you kind of sit back and monitor what's going on, and as you vote, the guys or ladies surrounding you would get to know what your values
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
And
you
know
know
what matters to you.
I mean, you want to advocate. I mean, local aid's a big issue, right? So that's something we're going to stand up for. You know, we're going to make sure we stand up for the MBTA to make sure that it's reliable. And
that could be a 24-hour-a-day job.
Absolutely. Sure, no doubt about it. We want to increase, hopefully, you know, we want to change our Chapter 70 funding mechanism, which is something that I think that we can work with folks on. So all those types of things are, you know, part and parcel to what you're doing up there. But you have to be able to kind of see the lay of the land and figure out what's going to move at what moment in order to make sure that you're representing your issues and your constituents well. Good
luck with that.
I hope so.
Do you like to hear from your constituents?
Absolutely.
Do you want to be invited to coffee clutches and people's home and television programs?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, for me, I'm doing that now. I'm talking with folks. We've held a bunch of coffees so far. We've got more planned. I'm always, if anybody wants to sit down and have that conversation, I'm around. We can have that conversation.
How do they get in touch with you?
They can give me a call, 781-281-0191, or they can send me an email, which is Haggerty, info@haggertyforhouse.com. Either way, you can go through my website, Facebook, all those types of things.
Anonymous letters?
Sure, anonymous letters. Yeah, let me know what you think. You know, I'll say this is from Veronica. I know the penmanship.
No, what usually gets me is the word usage. I had to do a Santa Claus letter once, and just as they were putting it out, they had to take it back because I'm the only one who still has a parlor. Everybody else has a living room. Now I suppose it's a family room.
True, true.
But the minute they saw the word parlor, they knew their kids would know it was me that wrote it.
That's a riot. That's funny.
And every so often I will do an anonymous piece, whether I leave it on the bench at City Hall, I get it published. And again, somebody will say, I like that one, you did
exactly.
good. Yeah, so, you know, you have to be careful. But it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
I find leaving statements for people to pick up and cause conversation over who wrote it, what is it, oh my God, look at that, I never thought of that. I think that's more valuable.
Start the discussion.
Yeah, I do find that much more valuable than, because a lot of people will look and see the name, the signature, and they won't even bother reading it.
Yeah, true. Well, yeah. I mean, for me, whenever I get stuff, I always read it. So, I mean, people communicate with me all the time, right? So, the last 8 or 9 years, I've been able to have a lot of constituents, and they all are not shy about letting me know where they are in the issues. And you do your best to get back to folks and let them know why you agree with them, why you might not agree with them. Sometimes you're bringing information that you have available to them to let them know what they kind of what's going on and give them a little more information. So all those types of things are important to the dialogue, and then they know that you care about what they think, which is part of the process.
Do you find any part of our city more active than another?
Not necessarily. I think it depends on the issue, right? So if you're talking about
traffic, everybody will come. You don't have enough seats in City Hall.
Yeah, absolutely. But we've got our demographics, no doubt about it, You might hear more from seniors on maybe some tax issues. You might hear more from younger families on education issues. You might hear maybe more from East Woburn on development issues, all those types of things. But we have a really engaged populace in our city, which is a good thing.
Well, like I say, if you don't participate, I don't listen to you.
Yeah.
Whenever I held a meeting,
you got to vote.
Whenever I held a meeting, I always helped an empty chair.
Yeah.
And just as we were going to vote on something, I'd say, "Excuse me, what? I'm sorry, I can't hear you." "Oh, all right." And the next day, you came running up to me right in my face, said, "What did you do last night?" I looked at your chair. I asked for your opinion. You weren't there.
Yeah.
Go away.
Participatory democracy. There's no doubt about it. You got to participate.
But that could be detrimental to an elected official.
Yeah, well, you got to...
That's one of the reasons why I've never been elected. I have far much more fun than you guys do. And I get away with a lot more quietly. Oh, not so quietly. But it works because you can't pull my string. You can't take my husband's paycheck.
Yeah.
You can't hurt my kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a very strong back. There are no dents.
No doubt about it.
A bullseye sometimes.
Yeah. But you brought up traffic a couple times. I mean, on that subject, I just want to touch base. So, there's a couple of projects that we really want to continue to advocate for, and a couple of projects that I've been really close to in the city. The new Boston Street Bridge is a critical infrastructure project for our city. It's on the Transportation Improvement Program for 2021. We're going to keep fighting for that to make sure it stays on track to get that built. We think that that's going to have a real positive impact on traffic on Route 38 in North Woburn, as well as West Street and Reading. It's going to be kind of a redundant access point. So that's a real big part of kind of my agenda over the course of the next couple of years. We want to make sure the Montville Avenue project goes off without a hitch and the widening's complete. And the third thing that we want to talk about really is probably the Washington Street Bridge and getting that finally widened. That's got to be next up here. And it's a few years out, but we want to start talking about that now to get that complete because, again, it's going to have a long-term positive impact on the traffic patterns in that area.
It's scary to be on that bridge in traffic and have 3 18-wheelers with you. It shakes.
Yeah, absolutely, it does.
Yeah, it's frightening. It's absolutely frightening.
Yeah, so all three of those are important infrastructure and traffic projects all at the same time, all of three which also have a major state and federal commitment to really solve it. So.
And sometimes the state actually takes longer than the city of Woburn.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you got to get on the Transportation Improvement Program. The TIP, that's really the biggest challenge.
You can get streetlights approved today that won't be in place for 10 years. Look at the end of Salem and Wood.
Sure. No, same.
And aren't they approved? Haven't they been approved?
Yeah. No,
all the plans and everything, and there'll be 3 more smackdowns there today.
Yeah. No, it's a dangerous intersection. There's no doubt about it. But that's, I mean, having relationships within the city to advance major infrastructure projects is really important. So I'm bringing to the table all my knowledge over the course of the last 8 or 9 years of all the traffic infrastructure issues we have in our city and bringing that to the table and saying, all right, we're going to advocate for those hard. So then you work with your mayor, you work with the city council to advocate for those issues that are critical to your constituents. That's what separates me, I think, from some of the other candidates.
I don't understand. I mean, just getting something through City Hall is aggravating as the devil. I mean, you can
I hope I've worked to make it a little bit easier.
I don't have a problem with you. I haven't slapped you side the head yet. But you can only wrap your head against the wall so many times, and then it hurts.
Sure.
And I'm used to it, and I can go around it. But I see petitions come in for traffic relief on Holton Street. Do you remember how long that was?
Oh, yeah, long time.
In front. And I drove by there this morning, and I could not have turned up Blueberry Hill Road if I tried.
Yeah.
And those people came in sincerely asking for relief.
Yeah.
They did everything they were. How many times did they appear?
Yeah. No, it's tough.
And nothing.
Yeah. No, it's tough. There's no
Is
doubt
it
about
any wonder that the populace doesn't think that our government is responsible to our plight?
Sometimes people feel that way, but other times people feel good. I mean, I do see it firsthand where people will come to a meeting and they'll think that maybe we're not going to listen. And then all of a sudden, by the end of the meeting, you'll get a couple of stragglers who will stick around and they'll say, something, I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us and incorporating your comments, and so that participatory democracy idea, it does happen. Sometimes it's not perfect and sometimes it doesn't look pretty, but it does happen sometimes, and I think that there's a lot of examples in our city.
Oh, I'd love to see a scorecard.
I know.
I'd like to publish one.
I know.
What would you like to say directly without me saying anything to the people that you want to elect you to the House of Representatives?
Well, I guess what I want to say is, most people know me. My name's Rich Haggerty. I've been serving for the last 9 years as City Council President, as Alderman at Large, and in the last 5 as City Council President. I'm hoping to bring my public and private sector experience to Beacon Hill to be your state representative in the 30th Middlesex District. We're going to continue to fight for a lot of the core issues that are critical to constituents in Woburn, things like making sure our transportation system's reliable, making sure that we support education and change the way that our education system here, even in Woburn, gets funded. We want to work on health care, including the opioid crisis, and tackle that once and for all. We want to make sure that we're working on health care costs for small businesses. On small businesses, we also want to make sure that we're encouraging an economy in Massachusetts that works for all of us. And lastly, I just want to say that over the course of the last 8 or 9 years, we've been successful for a variety of reasons in the city of Woburn. But one of those reasons, I hope, is that I've been sitting at the table, making the tough calls, bringing people together, trying to advance a variety of issues locally. We've been able to support seniors and veterans. We've been able to support education. We've improved our bond rating. We've put more money into our free cash account. All these types of things I think are an example of the results that I've been able to bring to the table. So you put together the leadership, experience, and results that I have, I hope it makes me uniquely qualified to be your state representative. I've been working for the last 8 or 9 years with state and local officials to advance the issues that are important to you, and I can tell you that when I go to Beacon Hill as your state representative, I will continue to do that. And I appreciate your vote come September, and I look forward to talking with you over the course of the next several months. So thanks so much.
Cool. While you still work for the City Council, why did we get the tax bills and the water and sewer bills in the same mail bill on the same day?
We're going to ask the mayor on that one.
Oh,
We're going to check in with the mayor and Timmy Donovan.
I hate the 4 times a year anyway. But you usually get, Merry Christmas, right, and then there's your excise tax. And no, there's the big tax.
I got mine, same thing,
yeah,
I'm with you.
And then the excise tax. And then something else, and then you get the water and sewer, and then you get
usually it's
the taxes just as you're preparing for vacation. So what a thrill it was to go to the mailbox last week and find all of them sitting in the same mailbox. It's a dumb joke. Thank you for coming, and I'll
Thanks,
expect
Veronica.
an answer when you get to City Hall.
No doubt about it.
That's it for Conversations with Veronica. Mr. Richard Haggerty has been our guest. Bye.